everybody. Welcome back to Beacon in the Storm. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton, and today I have a very special guest with us. I have Danny Johnson, chairman of the Baker County Republican Party out of Oregon. Hey there, Danny. How's it going?
Just fine, thank you. Welcome to Oregon.
Absolutely. That is absolutely beautiful. You just showed me, you panned around. It's gorgeous out there. How do you find the time to do anything but just stare?
Well, my office at my elderly age is my recliner, and I do all my phone work, letter writing, and everything from something that's a little bit more comfortable than a straight edge chair.
I used to be an elder law attorney, Danny. There's no way you're a day over 52.
Oh, I'm 75 years old and having at it.
You look great, though. I appreciate you coming on today. And so, why don't we begin by you just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what it is you do today?
Well, I'm like a lot of blue collar family people. I came up through some rough times when I was a little boy, and we didn't have much welfare food and the whole bit. And by the time I was 8 years old, I decided I was not going to do certain things, such as getting divorced and things of that nature that affected my young life. Uh, Decided that it was time, even at that age, to be independent, not break the quarter when I had one, because that was big money in my day.
Hmm.
Uh, Going to the movie for 10 cents with my friends, I'd rather have the quarter. And uh, just grew up as a normal child. Uh, didn't get a college education. Uh, just decided to be pretty much independent, and we got married when we were 18 or 19 and 20 years old, and we've been married for 55 years. Uh,
Congratulations.
$60 to our name when we started, and raised a wonderful family of four, a daughter and three sons. And now, after starting my own business and hiring doctors to do medical evaluation work, after 30, 40 years of that, I moved on and retired for a few years. And now I'm up here in Northeast Oregon as a gold miner, and have a large operation up here that several of our sons work with us on. And we love this country and we love our state.
That is absolutely fantastic. What an incredible journey you have had. So let's get it right into the meat of my show. You know, you and I have talked before, and you were very excited to be able to talk on these topics. So let's just start right out the gate with what does it mean to be a man, Danny?
Well, I found for me that it's probably the most important thing is, in retrospect, is to sit back and evaluate things before you jump. I'm entrepreneurial, but at the same time, you have to take some caution, and even when you take risk. Uh, the focus for me when I hired my employees was that I didn't ask them to live their life the way I do, but I always felt that God, family, friends, and then business was the order of moving ahead. Take care of the first three things. Business comes along quite well, thank you. In that, listening to the issues and problems of other people, and that just because we have our own opinions doesn't mean we're right for them. So it recently I've had several conversations with people who were distraught, just in general in regard to family issues and whatnot. And I think the best thing to do is go back to scripture and find where that scripture gives the guidance and gives the answer, at least one of the answers, to help people along to get to that next step of resolution.
I love that. Now that leads me perfectly into my next question: is why, in your opinion, is faith so important for men?
I didn't hear that last one.
Why is faith so important for men today?
Well, it's one of the blessings that I found when I was a little boy. Um, Fortunately, even in a broken family, my mother took me to church.
Hmm.
And even though I always ended up being a shepherd rather than one of the three kings at Christmas time, which still to this day kind of bugs me a little bit. uh, but the thing is, it was a instilling time in my life that when I got off to college and then into my married life, it was there. It was solace. It was a steadiness. It gave form to my thought process because I was thinking, well, what is God going to think if I do this or that? We need to reflect on these things. And Lord knows I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, some that I regret. I'm Catholic, and some people say, "Oh, you're Catholic, you can go to confession, and it's easy to sin in between." No, it's not. We carry a lot of burden in our lives. All of us do. And right now, I look back on my life and my relationship with my wife and my family. It's such a joy to have that guidance of God in our lives, that we rely on, that we talk to Him daily. He is truly a part of our lives. And we look at the surroundings here in Northeast Oregon, the beauty of this earth, and the breeze, the wildlife. It's all such a gift. And we need to start focusing on the positives in this world rather than the divisiveness and the negatives that are so self-focused on individuals that seem to want to divide us as a society.
That's absolutely beautiful. I couldn't agree more with you. Now, you mentioned earlier that your guiding kind of principle with Scripture, and my purpose of my show is to help guide men to the Lord, to Jesus, so that they can come to know Him and have that peace that you seem to have in your life. So, do you have any advice for the men out there who may feel lonely or rejected, or that they don't have a purpose in life, to help them better know Jesus?
Well, I've gone through those points in my life also, feeling, being out of work when in our early married life, wondering if I was going to be able to support my family, being dejected, frustrated, almost angry at times, and wondering if life was even worth it. Uh, I don't know if everyone goes through that, but God has a purpose for each one of us, and that we have individual special talents. We don't, even to this day, I don't know. I have not found what His purpose is for me, other than the fact that I try to do the best I can with those that I interact with. And I think that people have to not carry it all on their own shoulders. If you do not have someone in your sphere of relationships that you feel comfortable with, or just aren't the type that can give you that peace of mind with what you're going through, what do you have to lose by turning to God and to Scripture? Because Scripture gives you absolutely all the information you need to lead a decent life. Now, I'm not, I'm far from being a great scholar of the Bible. Uh,
Right there with
I,
you.
I read it. We do our rosary on a daily basis as Catholics, and when I know that I'm heading to meetings and whatnot, and it takes 60 miles to get us to my meetings because we're out here in the middle of nowhere. Uh,
Also known as God's country.
the, yes, it is God's country. Well, it all is, but at the same time, I get the solace in doing my rosary in that because it prepares me. And then, of course, I always ask Saint Michael the Archangel to help also because he's the God's warrior, and to keep me from evil and those that are. And then when I get to where I'm going and have my meetings or whatever I'm doing, I find the joy of the people that I meet. I find the good things in each person that I can. Yeah, there are some people that you don't get along with, and yeah, there's some situations that are really difficult to navigate. But at the same time, if you're constantly on top of the positives, your life is so much more productive, and uh, there's an equilibrium.
That's great. Oh gosh, you're just a font of wisdom, sir. I love having you on. Um, let's switch gears just a little bit if we can. I want to talk a little bit politics because you're the chairman of the Baker County Republican Party out there. Why is conservative ideas better for men than liberal policies?
You know, I don't look at it even for men or women or anything like that. I just look at it from the perspective of uh, what's common sense. If you sit back and reflect, I'm a project guy, and if you have a project, you have to sit back, you have to plan, but you also have to focus on what your expected outcome is going to be. I find that a lot of liberal uh, ideas and programs, they're wonderful and they're touchy-feely, and that's wonderful too, you know. But at the same time, if we're just throwing money at something that never produces the outcome that you would expect, uh, maybe that's the wrong approach. And that's why I like the conservative approach to things. Now, yes, in the conservative movement, there are a lot of people that are still woke. There are still a lot of people that are big government. They like ingratiating themselves to the process and becoming wealthy and all of that. But I think in my job here is to get through the issues that divide people and try to find something that's more faith oriented.
Mhm.
Uh, let's focus on working together as a team with common cause, and let's move forward in a positive way. We even in this county here that we're in, we've had very divisive history within the GOP, uh, and even on a state level, the same thing. But that shouldn't be our focus. We shouldn't be trying to win this war or that battle. Uh, what's good for the general public and what's good for the state of Oregon? What's good for this county as far as regaining some access to our natural resources where we can help not only the employment environment here in Baker County, but also how can we help the people in Oregon reduce their taxes and that? Because with natural resources and ranching and whatnot, we can provide a reduction in taxes across the board in this state if rules and regulations and liberal policies were not so deeply entrenched.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. I Danny, you're really easy to talk to. Like, it's just flowing here. So I want to ask now, because it sounds like, and I've talked to Republicans all over the country and faith leaders, and it sounds like kind of on the conservative end, it's very individualistic, but there's a strong focus on community. Is that your impression as well?
Oh, we're very, very community oriented here. Uh, for many years, I lived on the west side of the state, and that was my hometown area. But when I got over here in this county, it's like back in the 1950s. Yeah, people say, "Oh, they're redneck. They tote guns and they thump their Bibles and all of that." Well, that's all true, and that's okay because these people have good hearts, and we know almost everybody uh, in our area, even those that are really on the shady side. If someone gets in need here, they reach out, everyone reaches out to help one another. And that's one of the most wonderful things I've found in this country out here. Uh, and the community is so important. And the culture, the historical culture of ranching and families. I can drive 60 miles from Baker City to where we live and see maybe one or two cars on the road at 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Mm.
And I get into town where there's a population of 350 in the area, big metropolitan area, huh? And there's not one place open in town because everybody's home with their families. And people out here, the culture is they don't want to be retrained for computer work. They don't want to be retrained for service jobs. They want to work in natural resources. They want to run their heavy equipment. They want to be with their families. They want to buy their pickups, their boats, enjoy the outdoors that God has given us. And they want to be left alone and be able to live without the encroachment of big city politics and big city rules and regulations. And that's something that the west side of Oregon and the metropolitan areas of America need to understand, that the people out here, we're not bumpkins. They're very educated individuals, life experience educated mostly, but at the same time, in retrospect, they think through the problems and that, and they don't get emotionally involved unless they see something that's so drastically wrong, such as children being mutilated and things of that nature with the woke stuff that's been going on. Where do we protect our kids? People here are unified. When it comes to things where our culture is just going the wrong way, people here will watch. And historically, they haven't gotten involved, but they've been finding their voices lately in the rural areas of Oregon and America. And I think that's going to have a positive impact for the faith-based approach to returning America to God's total country as it was in the beginning.
Absolutely. Now, Danny, this has been a fantastic interview. Do you have any final thoughts you want to share before we wrap up to men out there who may be listening, who may feel that they just don't know what direction to go?
Find a good mentor.
Mm.
Now, that mentor doesn't need to be a minister. It doesn't have to be a priest. It can just be a level-headed adult, and find the good in each person, and really evaluate people before you take that step. Yes, everybody has to protect themselves in this world to some degree, but you also have to give up something and to communicate in a very basic way, in a personal way, so that you don't have to feel threatened by giving your emotions out and whatnot. There's nothing wrong with that for a man to do. It's we're all searching for something, and I just find that even though I'm a flawed individual, like I said, I look for the good of people. I use that as a beginning point, and then it's amazing once we open ourselves up, other people will notice that and lead a life based on whatever you can do to follow the scripture or God's way. Try to be like Christ. We'll never be like Christ totally, of course. But at the same time, what a wonderful example for humanity. And for 2,000 plus years, here we are. Still, with the tenets of his teachings, that are really leading the way if we'll just listen and read.
Absolutely. Danny Johnson, thank you so much. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and communicate with you more, how can they reach you?
Oh, they can reach me at Danny LJ 1901 at gmail.com.
Fantastic. All right. I truly appreciate you taking the time to come on with us today. This was a wonderful interview. I've been watching your background and all the birds flying by the whole time. It's been just beautiful. So thank you so much
It
for
is
coming on
nicer.
and sharing with us today.
You're welcome.
All right. And for everybody else, I'm going to remind you all, keep looking for the light in the tempest. God will show you the way.